Today I am talking to Ibrahim Merjan from Ray White Macarthur Group in Sydney.
Ibrahim Merjan from Macarthur Group.
He is an incredibly high volume Chairman's Elite agent who did over 150 transactions last year. Ibrahim, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.
Okay, we're going to get into it, but before we talk about where your business is today, I'd like just to explain about the marketplace you transact in. What is the median sale price? What's the marketplace, the demographic?
Cool. So I operate out of a Denham called Leppington Marketplace, so it's a mixture between sort of Macarthur and Liverpool, in the southwest.
And what's the average sale price in that?
For me at the moment, it's about $1 million.
Okay, and it's family homes. What's the marketplace?
Definitely.
Yep.
Mums and dads, people sort of anywhere between their mid-20s all the way to their late 60s, 70s, or whatever it is.
Okay.
Quite a mixture.
So I'd love you to go back to the beginning. You've been in our industry for about 10 years.
Yep.
In the same business that whole time.
Yes.
And you were a young man of about 23 when you started your career in real estate. What brought you into our industry?
Originally, I guess I was working before real estate, I was actually working in hospitality, and it was time for a change. Essentially, I've been doing that for about 4 or 5 years, and I actually had a friend of mine who was working in real estate and working for Macarthur Group. So we did a bit of a trade-off. He wanted to he wanted to run his own restaurant business actually. So did a bit of a trade-off where he got me an interview, and I was running his business until we actually got a job. So,
yeah, right. And like hospitality, you say that, but you were actually running restaurants. You were managing restaurants.
I was in restaurant management, yeah.
Yeah, and you were also considering whether or not you would become a restaurateur yourself, own your own business.
Yes, so the original goal was to get into real estate to make as much money as I can, right? And to open up my own restaurant one day.
Right.
So that's no longer a goal, but
yeah, all the hard work is going into the real estate business.
Essentially, yeah.
And so what was it about hospitality that you loved? Because obviously you were seriously considering it as a long-term industry.
I fell into that as well, and I just realised I was good at it.
Yeah.
To be quite frank, and I've just sort of always been that personality where like, sort of married to your job, married to your career, whatever the case may be. So whatever I did, I just did 100%. So.
Yeah. And I remember you saying to me, you looked into HR as well.
Yes.
But you wanted a career that was going to give you good financial options.
I was in the restaurant game, and actually I got into HR and started studying it. That's how it sort of ended up, right? And I sort of realised what I would be, I guess, earning or what I'd be doing after 20, 30 years of HR, and it just wasn't a viable option for me at the time.
Yeah.
So I wanted to open up a restaurant. And real estate was sort of an avenue for it at the time. Yeah,
and so real estate, really good financial opportunity, and you got the introduction at Macarthur Group.
Yep.
And so you were then in. So you actually had quite a fast uptick, and you started to get business. You did the hard yards. You knocked on doors, made cold calls.
Yeah.
But you started to get listings. I think you told me you got your first commission check inside about 11 months of being in the business.
From April to December.
Yeah, much sooner than that.
Yeah.
And so, did that feel fast or slow to you at the time when you made your first commission?
It felt slow.
Yeah.
It felt slow, and I think if I had my time again, I probably would have worked as a part of a team before just going out into a solo agent.
Yeah. Was that an option for you?
At the time, I thought I didn't need it.
Yeah, okay.
It could have been an option, but I thought I didn't need it.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. And so your career gets going, you're starting to make money, which, having been on the minimum wage of real estate would have been hard for a while. How were those first couple of years for you? You started to build listings and sales, you were building your database. When did you put a person into your team?
January, the year after.
Wow, so within not even 12 months, you just brought someone in.
Yep.
And why did you do that? Because so many agents would be fearful, it's investment, I've only just started making money.
It was a little bit fearful at the start, but I had good leaders in the business.
Yeah.
So our principals really pushed us to sort of move forward and progress.
Yeah.
So I think they probably believed in me more than I did at the start.
Okay. And so you just went, I'm just going to follow that process.
Yep.
If they say that's what to do.
Yeah, just belief.
And there were other people in the business as well who'd sort of built teams in that way?
Definitely, yeah. We had other agents in the office that had associates on, and they were growing teams and they were doing really well. I could see the fruits of what they were doing. I could see the sort of advantages that they had, especially in the game where we sort of rely on volume, we have to do a lot. And I think, one person can't do as much as two can't do as much as three can't do as much as four. So.
Yeah, okay. And so do you remember what that first person did for you, what their role was and the various tasks that they did?
Yeah. They practically did everything that I did except the listing appointment.
Okay.
So the first one was just I was excited to have somebody on. And, someone to door knock with, someone to call with, someone to be in the trenches with. It was more just somebody to work alongside. And that was part of growing something, which was great as well. Yeah,
okay. And how long is that person still in your team? Are they still in the business?
Not in my team, but still in the business as a salesperson.
Yeah, okay, fantastic. And obviously there's years and years have gone by, your team has grown. You now have a team of how many?
5, including myself.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So how has that journey gone from the first person that you put on, all the people that you've employed over the years, to the team that you have now? What were the learnings that you made across the time as you brought people in and trained them up and they stayed or didn't stay?
I found over the years it took to sort of develop a good team, it sort of evolved as we sort of moved forward. But part of it was maturity, to be quite frank. I don't think I could have handled the team that I've got now at a much younger age, personally.
Yeah.
And I think it was maturity to understand what my particular role was within the team as well.
Yeah.
So I find a lot of agents, grow a team and they don't understand where they sort of sit within the team or what the roles are for their associates, if that makes sense.
How long did it take you to work that out?
Probably 5 years.
Yeah, okay. Trial and error.
Trial and error.
And was it also about learning what you were best at and what you should retain?
And learning what I wanted.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different agents with big teams. They somewhat operate similar, but there's key differences. And I think it's more style to what they actually want to do in comparison to what I want to do as well.
So talk to me about how your team is structured now. What are the roles? Who does what?
I've got Josh. Josh has been with me for about 3 years now. He's sort of like a second in charge. He's now doing his own listing appointments, his own listings. Within my team as well, I've got Ash, I've got Emad, I've also got Lorraine. They've got more of a 360-degree role. Again, they do everything that I do except the actual listing appointment. So they're producing leads, they're showing buyers, they're running campaigns, they're also helping me alongside all the auctions. It's absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
Wow. And so will they be managing their own sections of data that they're responsible for, or do they share the database with you?
They share majority of it, but they'll be responsible for a campaign alongside me.
Yeah, okay.
So we know where the buck stops, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And so some agents feel the need to kind of hold their people in really specific roles, or why have you decided to allow or encourage your team members to do so much of the process?
I find that people underestimate how quick people can learn if you actually throw them in the deep end, to be quite frank. And I just sort of look at, I guess in a way, how I would like to be treated. I don't want to be held back. Yeah. And I don't think my team should be either. If they want to go out and if they want to go out and venture into sales and they want to run their own team, so be it. As long as I look at myself as a bit of a vessel for them to progress from point A to point B. Some people don't want to go into sales. They want to take on a more senior role within the team. As long as I'm doing the volume that I'm doing, I can make that position available for them. Yeah,
amazing. And that's hard because sometimes agents feel resentful about the fact that they are training someone up and they're in the team and then they go and leave. You don't have that attitude at all.
Not at all. If you treat them right, they don't become your competitor.
Yeah.
Become a friend and become someone that actually helps you.
Yeah. So you mentioned about the volume that you're doing.
Yep.
Do you mind sharing the number of sales that you did in the 22-23 financial year?
Yep, 150.
150 sales.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. And so that's yourself plus 4 other people.
Yes.
And everyone's kind of, you've got different sales associates on different campaigns.
Yeah.
What are the things that you know you must do? Because you can't do everything on 150 sales. What are the parts that you have to touch?
I think what I'll do is I'll isolate all of the top buyers for each campaign, right? I'd also give them autonomy in terms of running buyers through and also cross-selling. But the biggest key for me is just the vendor management, communicating with people that are actually selling.
Yeah.
I'm in touch with my owners probably every day, every second day.
Yeah.
I'm at majority of the open homes. If I'm not there, they're aware of who's actually going to be on point and running the campaign with me.
Yeah.
I just try and isolate my role between doing the actual listing appointment running key buyer appointments and speaking to my owners.
I recently heard you talk about a decision that you've made with your data. So you've recently made a decision to cull some data into a more core-centric focus.
I used to cover about 30 suburbs.
Yeah.
And as we were doing volume, we started to get traction in particular pockets. And essentially, I made the decision this year to sort of isolate probably about 7 suburbs or so in comparison to 30, and sort of double down on that. And I think it's been easier because I've been able to give better service to my owners because I've just got more repetitive homes on the market.
Some people would find it really hard to let go of, what they perceive is theirs across those other, say, 23 suburbs.
Yeah.
Was that difficult for you to let that go?
It was a little bit, at the start, but I wanted to grow, and I could either grow across 30 or grow across 7. And I just found that if I had, I guess, more volume in a smaller pocket, I would naturally just have more market share.
And you've also recently taken a decision to change your sales approach to doing no auctions to now really embracing the auction method. So why have you done that?
I think the market needed it. For 8 years, I was just doing private treaty sales. At first, it was a bit of a 50-50. I would auction certain properties or whatever the case may be. Then I made the decision to make everything auction. And it worked out absolutely fantastic, with a short supply of stock, good competitive tension around buyers, owners got more money, and...
So you just made a decision overnight, like it's time for auction?
Well, after 12 months of 50-50.
And
I realised that there was a good correlation between the auction process and my owners getting more money at the time, which was fantastic.
Yeah, wow. And that's interesting because the business that you work in is not traditionally an auction business.
No.
So you've kind of done this in your own silo, if you like.
Yep.
How has that been for you? Because you're the only one influencing the culture of your team around this. Has that been something that's been hard to keep on the rails?
Not really. The office is actually quite supportive, and also the principals are as well. So even though it's not an auction business, there's a lot of depth of knowledge within the people that are actually in the business. Yeah. So it was quite easy to transition for me, if that makes sense. And I could always reach out and make a phone call to someone in the network, whatever the case may be.
So this year you finished on 150 sales.
Yes.
And the ambition is for the current financial year, the new financial year, we're going to grow again.
Yep.
What's the target for this current financial year? 200 sales, so an extra 50% output.
So I would love to do anywhere sort of between 180 and 200.
Yeah, okay. And so how do you do that? What's your focus? What are the things that you concentrate on in your business?
I think we've sort of morphed Josh's role, to be quite frank, into more of a senior role. Yep. And it'll just be involved within my team. Yep. So he'll take on... We really just ran it down to the basic numbers. Yeah. If we want to do X amount of sales, we need to do an X amount of appraisals. We need to list an X amount of properties. Yeah, and so what are those, like, to do the 180 to 200 sales, how many appraisals a month is your team conducting? We're doing 75 at the moment. 75? Yeah, on average. Like last year was averaging 60, we needed to crank it up to about 75, 80. Yeah, and so how many of those are you doing versus Josh? Josh will do, as of recently, sort of between 20 and 30, and I'll do 50 to 60. Yeah, wow. So how do you do that? Like, people will be sitting at home watching this thinking, how on earth do you fit 50 or 60 appraisals into your month? Yeah. How do you do that? 2 or 3 a day. Okay. All right. I would have certain block-out times for prospecting. So in the morning between 9 and 12:30, essentially all I'm producing is outgoing phone calls. Yeah. Right, I'm just talking to my owners that are on the market, I'm talking to new clients that are looking at coming to the market, and I've just got quite structured times in terms of when I'll actually do the appraisal. It gives me a little bit more control over my day. Yeah. So what does that look like? When is if you're booking an appraisal, the day is Thursday, you have no other appraisals booked on that day, what would be the first appraisal that you would book? What would that time be? 1 o'clock. Okay, and then you just work up through the day from then? Yeah, so between 9 and 12:30 I'm doing my calls. Yep. 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock will be my first appraisal. Yep. Most of them go for an hour. I'll leave half an hour driving time. So I'll do one at 1. I'm doing another one at, 2:30. Yeah. And then another one at 4. Yeah, and so on. And it's quite a comfortable balance for you because you've got the rest of the team who are doing a lot of the buyer work. They're doing that follow-up. So it works quite well. Yep. That's amazing. And what do you track with the team? Like, how do you keep the team on track with what they're doing? So how do you know the other 4 people are hitting the targets they're supposed to be hitting? They track everything that I track as well. Even
Yeah.
so, we have a team goal, and then we also have our individual.
Yeah.
So they're tracking how many listing appointments they're producing, how many listings. They're also tracking their sales on a monthly basis, and they're looking forward to what's called cracking new sort of PBs and personal bests.
Yeah.
Their own listings,
Yeah.
and etc. Yeah.
And you mentioned about the 75 appraisals. Like, how frequently as a team are you looking at these numbers for your appraisals, your listings, and your sales to hit your target?
Religiously Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah.
And as a team, we're probably doing it daily, every second day anyway.
Yeah. Okay. If you were to give a piece of advice to someone who's looking to start a real estate career, like your young self 10
Yep.
years ago, what advice would you give?
Grow a team earlier.
Okay. Even earlier than what you did.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you're good enough, you're confident enough, go for it.
Yeah, okay. It'll come.
It'll
Back
come.
yourself in. What's something surprising that we might not know about you?
Oh, that's a good question.
I don't know if I prepped you for that one.
No, you didn't at all.
Yeah, sorry. Like,
I was pretty serious about playing basketball when I was younger.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
cool. How far did you go with it?
Not too far. I actually done my knee in, so
Yeah, okay.
real estate was the next best option.
Very good. Ibrahim, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, mate.